figure out if we're doing this on Twitch, if we're actually operating. So, Joey, do you think you will be able to watch Chainsaw Man in a week, or should we give you 2 weeks?
Given that I will be in Cancun
yes.
next week,
So
then we leave on next Wednesday. So a week from tomorrow we leave, but I would say might need a second.
Okay.
Good news is when we're there, because Ashley's got her work events, so like at least like I'll have some downtime in the morning. I can watch some of these episodes as long as I get motivated enough to do it.
It is a pretty fast watch. It's only 12 episodes.
Mm. 12 episodes at 20 minutes a pop. So what, 4 hours?
Yeah, roughly. And it's better than Demon Slayer, so there is that.
Okay. Well,
I have watched some of the new season of Demon Slayer, and oh man, it's
gets worse. Huh?
It's Demon Slayer.
Looking forward to it.
The
good news is this movie I was going to watch even if without doing a show on it, because eventually I got to watch this movie. And it is probably the second best foreign studio movie I've seen in the last 10 years, I'd say.
Okay.
All Quiet on the Western Front, the Netflix German remake, is so good. But this I'd say is solid number 2.
It's good.
I wouldn't rank it that high. There's a lot better foreign flicks out there. This is a very okay movie. Are we recording now? We're good?
Yeah, we have started. This is a bonus episode. We are starting with that cold open, I guess.
Yeah. All right, cool. Because this movie is just okay, and it was very disappointing for me considering all the rave reviews it got and the Oscar nominations for special effects, and it's just You're all right. I guess you're a typical Godzilla movie to me. I guess the big feature is that it was done on such a low budget, but even so, it's kind of okay. Even if the American Godzilla movies to compare it to, it's kind of falls into that category for me. It's another one of those. It's a slightly better story, more humanizing, but
I like Godzilla as a monster, not as the savior like was the Godzilla movie that was 10 years ago. Where it's like, oh, he's saving us from ourselves and our addictions to nuclear weapons. It's like
he's whatever the writer wants him to be. Here, he's a metaphor for this guy just not owning up to his mistake, and it's literally coming back bigger and bigger to haunt him until he finally does what he's supposed to do.
It's a redemption story.
I wouldn't say making up for his mistake, because his mistake in this circumstance is not committing suicide in a war they were clearly losing.
Well, there's that, but everybody treated it like it wasn't a mistake. Like, it was this great dishonor. Like, they're sure your face back here for surviving this biggest thing. Like, survivor's guilt isn't bad enough. It's just being drugged for the ringer. And he's always the sole survivor. I mean, spoilers for everyone. Like, they keep being attacked, and he just survives, and that's his punishment. He gets to live.
I was gonna say his mistake is not necessarily he can't let go of his survivor's remorse. That's his mistake, is that he can't like commit to a new life. He can't make a life for himself after the war.
Right, and here's a giant radioactive lizard to represent all of that. Like, if you don't make your new life, a giant lizard will attack you. If you still haven't made a new life for yourself, a giant lizard will attack you. It'll be even bigger. It's like, on the one end, the movie's like, it's really sad. By the time he's like screaming at the sky of like blood raining down on him, I'm laughing because life clearly hates you.
So wait, that makes the ending more morbid, Marlon. Because you're supposed to believe you get the happy ending at the end. But because of the way you're describing it with Godzilla regenerating at the end, or beginning to regenerate, so I'm like, so you're saying the main character, you're still taking it with you. This isn't going to end happy. You have your girlfriend again, but This is just gonna go south from here.
She survives, and that Godzilla will take her away again. But that's even harder. Because see, he survived. He didn't actually commit the kamikaze attack, so he found a loophole out. So did Godzilla. So it's as long as he lives, Godzilla lives. Like Agent Smith and Neo kind of situation. They both live.
My one problem with this movie is you don't see the plane seat eject, and then they have to, like, how they should have done it was like have the mechanic tell them like, oh, this is the safety for the bombs. You pull this before you set off the bombs, and just have him pull it and not realize it's an ejection seat. So he still goes in thinking he's going to kill himself, but like I think that would have been a better, because then he'd be like, no, I really did want you to live this whole time.
Yeah. Now it's
Plus, you don't even see the seat eject at the end. It's just like, oh, by the way, like you just saw this plane fly straight in and blow up.
But... Yep. And here's a parachute. He's fine. It's okay, kids. He's safe. He made it.
Welcome to Animesplaining, where we have the hottest fucking takes today. Jesus Christ.
I'm okay. He should have killed himself. I'm saying that he should have gone and believed, because I mean the whole thing is building up to like, oh, I should have killed myself. I should have killed myself.
Yeah,
Mine, make him because he's so desperate. Give him the chance, but still trick him, and then make him realize he was wrong the whole time. I think that would have been a better, but it's still a good story. I still like it.
Yeah. So Joey, I know you've seen Shin Godzilla because we saw it in a theater. Marwin, have you seen Shin Godzilla?
I have not. I'm still waiting for it to come to any streaming service at all. Even Tubi.
Oh yeah, you need to like actively rent it. Unfortunately, you need to pay money for it.
You can jump on my YouTube. I'll give you the password to my YouTube. I own it.
Neat.
So I guess Joey, just on the straight up like just beginning of this or Shin Godzilla, or is it apples and oranges? Is it apples and giant monsters?
They're different movies. Because I like the, either way, like because I'm a sucker for history, although, they tell kind of a whatever version of history, but still, like, I like going back to the time period of Japan post-World War II. And I like that, and like, when we're on our own and we have to, like, basically conscript these random planes or these random boats because we're not allowed to have them. I like that nuance in the storytelling. Whereas Shin Godzilla, I like because there's like the ones where like, hey, we need to work with America and we got to do this. They're at least loaning us this, but it's mostly the government arguing on the backside. You didn't get as much of that in this. Where Shin Godzilla, you had like the old guard debating the new guard on what is the best action to take. This one, it's more of just like, we're desperate. We just got to do something. And we just got to do something that works.
Yeah, I can see that. Whereas Shin Godzilla at the end of the day is like a government drama, effectively. It's about people doing things. It is the West Wing with a giant monster in it. Or it's actually more like Deep Impact with a monster in it, but that's neither here nor there. While this is Grave of the Fireflies with a giant monster in it.
Yeah.
Less depressing, but yeah.
It makes it a lot more appealing.
Not that less depressing. Yeah.
It's one of the things that's turned me off of Godzilla movies over the decades. It's mostly human beings in lab coats pointing at things, and Godzilla will like show up for like 20 minutes of the whole feature. So I've never seen the appeal until I saw the new remakes of Legendary Pictures and all that. So it's why I appreciate this here, because it's an actual human story that I actually like, which is very rare for a Godzilla movie for me. It's always the shittiest story when I just want to see monsters fight. But you actually cared about a character, so I'll give them points for that.
Yeah, I will say that I cared about the characters in this more than I did with Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla weighs itself too much on the political satire end by comparison, and it is nonstop. It is just hitting you with scenes after scenes and characters after characters. And this slows it down, brother.
Well, Shin Godzilla is like the emergency management. It's like how would we react to Godzilla if we were in FEMA? Like that's Shin Godzilla. Whereas this is just like we've just like suffered the worst atrocity in human history, getting out of surviving World War II, and now how the frickin' heck do we deal with this monster? And that's why I like this movie, because again, Godzilla is at its best when Godzilla is just a monster to be dealt with, not like this thing that this protector that they've made him now, or this like what is he in, like where the 98 version where he's just like this thing that invades New York to go reproduce. Like, no, Godzilla's just there to wreck shit.
Giant xenomorph.
I think there's room for both, and I mean, in the 1998 one, Godzilla is a threat that they need to deal with. It is this exact plot, but bad.
Americanized. I like 98 Godzilla. I'm in the minority there. But I do appreciate Godzilla is an actual metaphor for something, and that helps like the human medicine pill go down for me, because it's at the end of the day I just want to see monsters fight, which is why I really like the recent Godzilla movies. But if you're gonna make this human thing work out, at least give me a decent plot to work with. So this whole it worked here in a metaphor for this guy's mistake for me. It kept me interested.
The one thing I will say about the characters is like the main character, because he's always sulking. I get it that it's part of his character, but they progress through like 3 years of like him starting the pseudo family. Like, is this every day? Like, hey dad, like I had a good day at preschool today, or I had a good day with a neighbor. Should have killed himself. Like,
that's how depression works. So they just had a depression man this whole time. They didn't like he had a therapist back then. It's the 1940s. So the kid just had a rough dad.
Well, his therapist is the neighbor that helps watch his kid. But what does she say right in the beginning? Like,
you should have died.
Should have bought. Now, granted, she's angry because she lost her family too. So I mean, she's angry and desperate. I get the emotional state that she was supposedly in. But yeah, like, how do you like that going home? Is like, whereas like we have
that was it. What would have helped you?
Whereas we have like the Western side of movies coming back from war, where you're celebrated and like, thank God you're home. Like, way to like Dunkirk, when they come back and they think they're just going to be made fun of, or not made fun of, but they're just going to be jeered because they lost the battle, and everybody cheers them. And then you get this where it's the opposite.
Well, I think that's what it's trying to go for. It's trying to go for something where it's post-war Japan, but still the national values are still within that wartime transition, where it's like, you lost this for us. One guy who didn't explode himself in a plane, you lost this entire war for us. And it's saying that is absurd, and that's not going to get you anywhere. This, much like Grave of the Fireflies, this seems to be a very anti-nationalism movie, unless that nationalism is based in people power, in John Laurinaitis. It seems to, because there, I mean, say what you will and say whether or not it's if you just read this like at face value, this is a very right-wing thing, where the movie literally just has someone look directly at the camera and say, we cannot trust the government to do anything.
Well,
but then it's combined with, we need to rely on ourselves, and it's more the group mentality, and it's more communist that way.
I mean,
or
I think
socialist.
This is where like I read like some of the critiques, and I just didn't get it, because like I think it's more or less taking into account what time period it's in. Like, yeah, if you were Japan post World War II, you can't trust the government. The government was destroyed. So like, what is the government going to do for you? But you're right, where they had to basically escape from this mentality of like, no, like every cog in the wheel is just like we can replace it with another. That's why they had kamikazes. Like, do the honor system is like at least take someone down with you, but you still lose a soldier, and that's what the mentality that they had to take on is like, no, like these people are still valuable to us, still alive. That's why that's why I like American war movies, because it's like Black Hawk Down, where like, no, bring everybody home type mentality. So it's kind of a similar mentality to that.
You bring up America. Isn't there another side to this? Doesn't Godzilla also represent imperialism, like encroaching on Japan in some way? Like he's like a nuke firing monster. Every time he fires his breath, just another nuke goes off. I feel like he
You could probably get
represents
some of that,
America
the heat
here.
ray, like the heat ray, like basically replicating an atomic bomb.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the symbolism I thought I saw here. Like, here's I'm America after shooting nukes at you, just left and right, just blowing up your shit. And the only way to beat me is if you do your job as a kamikaze and kamikaze yourself into my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I took the movie. If this guy actually did his job, Godzilla would die. So it feels like apologetic on Japan's side. Like if they did their jobs properly, they would have won the war. And I'm not sure how to take that message here in 2024.
You could read another way. I can see, I guess, how you can go on the other side, though, because you remember the time period. America was the Japanese government. Like they were pretty much run by General MacArthur in the Pacific Theater. So when they're saying like, one, don't trust the government, but two, also like, oh, by the way, the Americans can't do anything because of their tensions with the Soviets. So like, so America has failed you. Like I can see how people. It's not necessarily the narrative I took, but like it's definitely one I can see you jump into.
All right, just make sure I wasn't seeing things. I kept seeing mushroom clouds every time. This because I'm not sure that's a thing that's normally associated with Godzilla. But then again, I am used to the American version that's come from WB recently. But this one, it wasn't a slow beam. I thought this beam was cool. So it was like a lightning bolt, and then boom, explosion. And I thought it was the coolest effect. But it happened to also look like nukes going off every single time he fired his breath. It was a very anime-looking attack, but he would launch fucking nukes at people in Japan in the 1940s. I thought they were leaning very heavily on.
They do. I will say this too about the movie. It does an excellent job with the lead up to the heat ray. Yeah, like the one scene where it destroys the destroyer, like where you just see the whole ocean glow around it. I was like, that's cool. That is
like it's just a beam of light and then an explosion. It's so cool. It's like something from Gundam Wing.
Or the other one when Godzilla's about to go to Tokyo and like, okay, we got our ships leading there, and all of a sudden you just see this one ship just fly across the port.
Yeah, like, I love that progression in scale. Like at first he has to like maybe make a hole in the ship or like rust it a bit. So by the end of the movie, he's launching an entire ship at the entire city. Like, fuck this thing. At this point, it's too big. You have to kill it now. And it represents this man's guilt. This one soul man's guilt. It's too large now. You have to kill it. And his reward was he has his girlfriend now. She survived.
I was going to ask about that ending. I do not like the fact that his girlfriend survives the nuclear blast. I think that's kind of silly.
It is.
Granted, he also does. Like he like you are in an alleyway and you survive. But
they tried to out the Dark Knight Rises Christopher Nolan. Like, see, they both live now.
I can understand why they made the decision, because you don't want the ending to be bittersweet for this like nonstop barrage of depression for this guy.
Think about this little 4-year-old girl. Like, no, give her something.
If she lives, she'd be fine. They could just focus on her, like, and then she gets to live with the.
No, she would sulk like the freaking. I mean, the main character is a wet blanket the whole movie.
He gets to be a wet blanket.
Something.
That is some PTSD.
I don't know. It felt very like Shia LaBeouf is still alive in War of the Worlds to me. And considering the first thing I read today when just looking at like Twitter on what people were saying about Godzilla -1, and the director was talking about how Steven Spielberg like contacted him directly to go like, oh, this was a great movie, and he was like absolutely floored
Really?
by it because it was
Right, that
Steven
happened.
Spielberg. That just made me think. It's like, oh yeah, War of the Worlds had that weird ending too, where his family was just miraculously alive after going behind a hill and exploding.
Are you talking about the son surviving? Not Shia LaBeouf?
I thought Shia LaBeouf is the son in that.
No.
Oh no, it wasn't Shia LaBeouf. It was Goku from Dragon Ball.
Oh.
I forgot his name.
But no, okay. I didn't know where you were going from there, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you. I figured you saved the wrong guy.
Because you're not going to have Tom Cruise give his son this "I love you" speech, and then have his son run off just immediately blow up.
Why not?
Right. I assumed that he was just dead at that point, and I was justified in my laughter.
Like, and granted, like, this is like you have your happiness. You have found your family in the other people who are standing next to you. You found your nationalistic camaraderie by defeating Godzilla over the course of no fewer than 4 separate plans, and 3 of them failed.
He kept coming back bigger. They just kept making him stronger.
But we can be happy for the other 3 crewmen on the boat, because that's their motivation. But we've spent the whole time following Shikishima, I want to say, his motivation. And his motivation... God, what is his motivation? Like,
there's no motivation.
The first half of the movie, it's just like wallow and go through the motions. And then the second half of the movie is just wallow and go through the motions.
Because that's it. He's trying to avoid his motivation.
Or a revenge tour, yeah.
He's just trying to live his life and just forget the whole thing happened, but it keeps coming back. Like, if Godzilla didn't come back, he'd be able to move on, but it came back 4 times. And that's why it felt personal to me. It wasn't Godzilla just doing these random attacks in Japan. It came back for this guy would take something of his and just let him live.
That would make sense why if Godzilla sees a random plane going across, it's like, it's that guy. I need to go
he
after
wanted to
him.
spite this one guy.
No, who cares about Tokyo where I can just wreak mass havoc? I'm going to go get this one plane.
Well, it is a giant lizard. Like, we don't know the intelligence of Godzilla.
Like, why did it pick up a train if its mouth? Like, it just did random stuff for no reason. I just started walking around of a train in its mouth. Like,
I do like the opening scene. Yeah, like the opening scene, too, where he's biting all the mechanics. Like, Godzilla eat people? Nope. Just bites them and tosses them.
It's just cruel. It's a giant house cat. That's what it reminded me of the entire movie. This is one of my cats. You want to be mean to these little things for no reason. Put that out of your mouth. No, bad Godzilla. Put that down. That's all. It was just chaos the entire movie. Chaos.
Godzilla did not get his pets, so now he has to go outside and be aggressive.
Freaking rejuvenate. That was gross.
Yeah, the Japanese like Godzilla goopy. He's goopy in Shin Godzilla too. But then again, that's
he's like a tadpole.
That's Hideki Anno, and Joey, you haven't seen Evangelion yet. Evangelion is going to be something that we need to spend like an entire season on. But Hideki Anno really likes his goo. Like, just make things as gooey as possible. He has an entire ending of an anime series be where people turn into just orange liquid.
Goo, I say you.
Save money on animation. They're goo now.
Yep, everyone turns into Tang. The universe has sex with itself, and everyone's now Tang. That is the end of Evangelion. Which is like half of the end of Evangelion now, because then they did the separate series, which also coincides with it. That's why we need to do a season on it.
Gross Japan stuff.
But that's still like Black Tar anime. I like Evangelion is too anime.
You know what? Fair. I
Then,
can't think of
then
anything
again,
that topped it with point.
I would probably consider Chainsaw Man to be Black Tar anime too. So let's see how this upcoming one goes.
Vampire Hunter D definitely. That's up there. We need to create a top 5 to run through. The hardest season. Ninja Scroll on there.
Just give you the most. Yeah, Ninja Scroll would be.
I don't like this rabbit hole you both are going down.
It's just gross adult anime.
Yeah, the only thing that Ninja Scroll has going for it is incredibly violent.
Yeah. The whole thing's unnecessary. Berserk, which I already refused to watch, but I would watch for this show. I feel like that counts.
Well, Berserk has a new series coming out. They're going to do the Whatchamahoozit arc again, and this time not make it in a weird CG. So I'm.
Oh, okay.
I have that on the docket, but and I mean Trigun Stampede was good. I ended up watching that. It's actually, I consider it better than the original anime because I didn't like the original anime.
Well, that's why. I'll watch this one anyway, so get through it and judge it. But I love the original Trigun.
But we're off topic. Joey, what did you think of the design of Godzilla in this? He's kind of like a combination of old style Godzilla alongside like American style thick Godzilla.
Like the 2014 one.
Yeah.
I liked it. And I like the progressively gets bigger. But no, I mean, as for the look, I think this was where it needed to be. Because I like I said, I like the heat ray buildup, and the scales did give it, like when it's swimming through the water, gives it the Jaws feel. So I did think that was cool. So no, like as for look and like as far as looking like the menacing dinosaur, where they give the visual effects where like it would roar, especially like the build up before they do kill it at the end. I can see why this movie won the Oscar. It deserved it.
I guess I could see why on a budget level, like they did a lot with the money they had, but I guess I wasn't blown away by the special effects.
It looked better. Like what this past year looked better though. Like I don't. Can you?
I
think
guess that's it though. I guess it's the past year special effects hasn't. Wait, didn't Avatar 2 like just come out? Like wasn't that this year also?
It was like 2 years ago. I think that was the past. Before.
I thought Avatar 2 was last year.
Yeah, that was last Christmas.
And I mean, dollar for dollar, like.
And that's already one visual effect.
Yeah, that's true. In this case, it's like a dollar for dollar thing. In that regard, then yeah, it's amazing special effects for a $15 million movie. Looks great. But as someone who has watched like a lot of foreign movies back in the day on like what did they call them, VOD or whatever, the foreign Japanese Asian DVDs that they had. Like I used to watch a lot of old movies, and they all kind of have that same feel to the CGI. So it didn't look that. It looked like typical live action Japanese experience, best way I could put it. Like watching Attack on Titan live action movie or something.
Like showing the destroyers looked good. Showing the planes was all the visual effects. I think that still looked good.
I feel like for anything that wasn't Godzilla, they were very simplified, basic, gray, almost blobs. Like they were just like these very smooth shapes. Like the tanks didn't look real. They didn't look like real tanks. They looked like toy tanks. But Godzilla was the most intricate thing. Like they put all of the effort into Godzilla, and I see that's why they won the effects. But then like little things around it, like the water and the city. The city, when it came to destroy the city looked like trash. I'm just gonna say that right. The city looked terrible. That train looked awful. Godzilla looked great. Everything Godzilla interacted with, not so much. So
everything. I think the lack of color is to show everything is makeshift because they're basically just a rebuilding society. So everything does have to look gray and old, and like you don't want to add too much color to everything because that's not the tone of your movie.
The trouble with that is it looked like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. and that's what it reminded me of the entire time.
I'm going to disagree there because Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. So I watch a lot of movie trailers just because I really like movie trailers. I like knowing what's coming out. And there is a Ronald Reagan biopic coming out, and it looks like the worst shit imaginable. And yeah, there's not a lot of special effects in a Ronald Reagan biopic. However, when you have characters sitting in a room, you can get a room somewhere and film in it. It is green screened and very poorly green screened at that. So I give this movie credit for at least not looking like this upcoming Ronald Reagan movie, which looks like shit.
Well, who's in this upcoming Ronald Reagan movie? Is there just no money behind this one?
They have, I think they have like Dennis Quaid in it. Like it's 1 second while I look up the Ronald Reagan movie.
I guess my issue with the special effects is with movies like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, like right there. And just historically speaking, you even have like The Lion King or The Jungle Book. I've seen better looking effects, period.
Does Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes really look that much better? Like, to me,
I feel like
Godzilla
that.
looks just like one of the CGI'd apes we see talking. Or Godzilla looks almost just as good as like Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Great,
but that's the
like
thing.
20 years
It's
ago.
just Godzilla, though. It's just Godzilla. It's a great Godzilla design. It's a great Godzilla look. And then I see everything interacts with like a plane or attack or something. Like, oh, that's where the budget went. The
Well,
budget went into
I can
Godzilla
see.
and nothing
Yeah,
else.
because you don't show him like actually really biting down. Like when the when the train gets bit, it's not like you see teeth come through the train.
Yeah,
It's just like you
It
just
went
see
as
a
cheap
crunching
as
set.
possible.
Yeah.
They went as cheap as possible in everything but Godzilla, but they kept the focus on Godzilla so you wouldn't notice. And it was a great design, Godzilla stuff, but when it would like say pan out and show the entire city, like, oh cool, we're in a video game again. That's just where we were. We're in Final Fantasy or something.
Probably why Godzilla bites and throws people, because it's too much money to like show somebody get bit and then swallowed, because then you're like, how do they appear here but disappear here? Whereas if he just throws them, like, hey, that's not a lot cheaper. At least we can explain how they disappear for a portion, but then they just get catapulted all over.
It's just like click and just drag them across the
throw
screen.
the dummy. Yep.
Well, it's also very PG-13 just to throw someone. If you eat someone, you start to worry about an R rating. And also, the Ronald Reagan movie has Dennis Quaid, John Voight, and Mina Suvari, and cost $25 million to make. So, $15 million more than this movie, and it looks like shit.
Sounds like that sounds like Atlas Shrugged.
If you watch the trailer, it has Atlas Shrugged energy, but for a higher budget than Atlas Shrugged, and its ever-changing lead character actor. It is definitely like we are selling this to conservatives and making this for as cheap as possible and giving it the idea. The trailer makes it look like the idea of a movie, and it's like, oh, I like Ronald Reagan. I will see this movie.
Like they give you the sizzle reel.
It looks bad. Just watch this trailer. It is not a good movie.
I'm perfectly happy not knowing anything about it.
Just watch. Dad is going to make you oh, the Ronald Reagan movie is coming out. Are you going to see that? I'm seeing it this weekend. I saw it 4 times.
The new Passion of the Christ. Great. Wonderful. Conservatives don't go to the movies, but when they they go 4 times.
I'm not one. I'm certainly one to give Ronald Reagan his due for what he was able to achieve in the 80s, but I'm of the party of the, like, he wouldn't get elected today.
I prefer what Ronald Reagan did in the early 2000s.
Die?
Die?
Yes.
He's very positive. Stay out of politics.
No, it's fine. It's like the man worked openly with Tip O'Neill. You wouldn't see that today. they would oust him out of the party for that today.
Yeah. Let's just talk about all the politicians. Let's talk about Shinzo Abe getting killed with a makeshift shotgun. But anyway.
Jesus. Right.
Yeah.
That was
There's a will, there's a way.
sadly one of the things I think this movie missed that I wish it would have talked about is like have people get mad at the emperor of Japan. You mad about like the national attitude and how it needed to change? Like sit there like, where's the emperor? What's the emperor doing? I just wish there was one line of dialogue.
Movie, yeah.
But I get what they're trying to do.
Every Godzilla movie should have at least one person blame the emperor for this. He's after the emperor,
especially the American ones.
Actually, yes.
The emperor should just beat a bad guy and Godzilla. It was Ken Watanabe the entire time. He survived.
And I can't shit too much on the American Godzilla and the Godzilla versus the MonsterVerse movies. Because on occasion you just need like big things punching each other. Like sometimes you just need dudes in suits hitting each other.
And call it Eats Cleveland. Then just have it be called something else.
I am sad that was it 8 Cleveland made? Let's check IMDb.
It might have been made. We might be lucky.
For those that you probably don't know, we were watching bad movie trailers. And it wasn't even movie trailers. It was movies trying to be sold to studios. And one that came up was a giant monster. And then it just a drawing of a dinosaur, and then it said It Ate Cleveland.
It 8 Cleveland was not made, unfortunately.
Oh,
but Tough Guys Don't Dance was made. It was made in 1987. Yeah. But yes, it was the Canon Film sizzle reel from 1986, the year I was born. Hey, and you missed them.
Speaking of bad movies, are you going to buy Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game?
No, I'm not, because it looks like shit. I have a rule that I don't buy shitty games.
Serious.
I
wait for reviews.
No, I am very excited with Xbox. Like Xbox's presentation was really, really good. PlayStation's wasn't very good.
I mean, Microsoft's got... It's because Microsoft's got all the AI money right now. That's why they're in an antitrust case with the FCC.
Tell ChatGPT to just make the games. Make the games for, and it's working, I guess. Doom, medieval Doom. There, make a medieval Doom game, and it did it.
But yeah, the video game space seems to be very much like the 360 era right now, where it seems like PlayStation, Sony and PlayStation are taking a victory lap, and Microsoft is going to come in with some good stuff and kind of eat their lunch for a little bit, and then make Sony realize that they actually need to come out with games in a timely manner.
Gears E-Day might actually be good.
Yeah, they got a slower, more sad bastardy version of Mad World somehow in that trailer.
Hey, Tom's alive. That's enough.
How's college football, Joey?
I already bought it, so
bundled
it with Madden.
When is that actually out? Is it like at the end of the month?
Oh, not until the end of next month.
Oh, okay.
So I got the deluxe version for $150. I got both that and the deluxe version of Madden. So, but they're saying it's not the same game. So far, and early reviews are positive, but again, that means absolutely diddly shit.
I watched the little sizzle reel, and it was a lot of whole like, oh, the stadium is a player. It's like, yeah, they did this back in like 2003.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't play like Madden. It's like, oh, I mean, so it'll look like it did in 2014. That's fine. Like I want it for the recruiting anyway. I like the joke. It's like, no, I want to take 1-star Akron to be the most powerful college program in 10 years by just simply paying all the players.
It won't play like Madden.
5-star recruits. I don't know.
It's like it won't play like Madden. So what will it play like? Mutant League? Like, am I going to tackle someone and they're going to explode?
Because there's one scene where you drag 1 foot instead of 2. Cool. Still the same engine.
No, and I saw that there's like an injury mechanic too, where it's like you can pull your player because you don't want them to be injured, or keep them in because you do want them to get injured.
They have that in Madden. They have that in Madden.
Oh, they do? Okay.
They do. They have what they're doing is there's like a fatigue. They have a new fatigue setting that's going to be new to the game. But they're like, oh, it's new for college football. Madden doesn't have this. Cool, Madden will have it next year.
Would have an RPG mode where I can play as a player and choose to go to a different college in the middle of my college career because the other college is going to give me a Lamborghini.
I mean, Road to Glory. I'd assume that's got to be a thing now. Like going to the coach and be like, can't wait to talk you through and like now you're gonna learn to make all these life choices. We're gonna guide you through these next 4 years. Cool. What are you paying me?
At this point, just make college a semi-pro league that just operates out of colleges and just.
They're arguing. That's why they're saying the Big Four conferences.
Why even tie it to academics at this point?
Yeah, stop teaching.
I mean, you saw North Dakota State this past weekend, like their big giant, and I mean they're a lower level school, but their big giant spring practice facility they have now. Like, it's not small, and not cheap.
Nope. College football is a giant monster that just stomps around and eats small college students. I had to bring it back to Godzilla somehow.
You have to pay your tuition.
I would pay to see a Godzilla movie that is a metaphor for college football. I would. I would have that now. Or the NFL. Please just give it to me. Or just sports in general. Do a wrestling version. Godzilla can be Vince McMahon in the 80s. Or even now. I don't care.
Make Godzilla Vince McMahon.
Except, I mean, based on, obviously, stories we've known over the past year, obviously Vince McMahon's heat ray is coming out of his butt. But that's...
Salty gutter monsters.
Give me a opera.
Roping his own youngling.
Yeah.
So score time.
We tried to bring it back on topic.
So, as usual with Animesplaining, we follow Super Eye Patch Wolf's like 7-star system, where 1 is completely insulting to my intelligence, 2 is bad but with maybe some redeeming qualities, 3 is a generalized like I liked it statement, 4 is good but with some like errors that you can like plainly point out, 5 is good for the genre, 6 is exemplary for the genre, and 7 is so good it has redefined what good is. So Marlon, I imagine that you're going to be the lowest score of us. So what?
5.
Hey, still give it a 5. That's good.
Yeah, because the way you describe it, 4, like I can't really find any flaws in it. It's not. That doesn't mean it's the greatest thing ever. So 5. But it doesn't really have any flaws. It's just ho hum, and after all the hype that I've heard about it, it didn't live up to my expectations, especially from the Godzilla movies we have seen the past few years, which have just been pure insanity. This is very back to basics, very bare bones, and they made the metaphor about this guy not killing himself.
It is is the most benchmark Godzilla movie Godzilla 2014. Like the most like passing grade, fine, just get out of my classroom. Like I'll let you have this one, Godzilla. Is that the 4 out of 10? Is that the 4 out of 7?
That one I'd say that's another 5 out of 7, but for different reasons. I prefer Godzilla as like a force of nature that comes that humanity has to deal with. But instead, this one is so focused on this one guy. The theme is this one dude in Godzilla happens to be there. And that's really it. His story is fine, but it didn't need Godzilla there as a metaphor for him messing up. And that's what Godzilla is here as. He's here to serve a purpose as a metaphor for this dude. Who cares who he kills? Those characters aren't important. They don't even get names. But until this guy redeems himself, that's Godzilla's purpose. And I don't know. I prefer Godzilla as, hey, this thing exists. We have to deal with this now. There's a monster, and seeing the intricacies of how we deal with that, how we find a technology to deal with such a thing. This one was just, well, I guess if you cram a plane in its mouth and blow it up, that'll hurt it. Yeah, why didn't we figure this before?
Just shoot it in the mouth, like
shoot it in the
Jaws.
fucking mouth. Yeah, it's not even a permanent solution. As you saw at the ending, it's still regenerating itself. So it's just the movie. The movie just decided it's over. The movie just decided to end. It's not really over. It just decided it's over. Because all parties survived. Godzilla survived. The guy survived. His girlfriend survived. The story's just done. So it's a good first episode, I guess. So solid 5 because there's no real flaws, but you don't really take any risks either because every party survived. What was the point of you?
So Joey, where are you with Godzilla -1?
I actually also give it a 5, which makes me feel bad because I gave Samurai Champloo a 6, and I probably, as far as entertainment goes, I was probably more entertained by this. But okay. I can't say this reinvented the genre because I think Marlon's right. I mean, realistically, this is still just like I can credit like the setting of the story, but in the end, it's still just a simple story. Just a monster movie where we got to fight the monster and we got to figure out a way to kill it. Like it doesn't reinvent any Godzilla movies. It's just a retelling of a Godzilla movie. Now, granted, 2014, I would not give a 5. The Gareth Edwards version, I would give that maybe a. The only reason I give it close to a 3 is because the Halo jump scene is cool. But I didn't love that one. I didn't love that version of that. That at 98, I would maybe give a 3.5 because like the whole beginning is great and then the ending just turns into what it turns into.
The Velociraptors, the Godzilla Raptors.
Like, I don't think this did a better job of reinventing the monster genre, or at least like telling a different story than like Cloverfield, than the first Cloverfield movie.
Yeah,
like I think
the Holy Grail.
I still think that was like the coolest version. But now also the way we're describing it, where we're like, hey, it was just something that, hey, just shoot it in the mouth. Like, so this really is just a retelling of Jaws set in post-World War II Japan. So it's like if the shark was in World War II Japan and bigger. But it's still just
the boat. It's the same friggin' scene. It's the same characters. Even when they introduce themselves, like, and that's Brody, and that's the other guy. You're just the Japanese versions of the same guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, except they all live, so that's good, I guess. It's Japanese. It's Japanese Jaws.
God, I'm trying to think of what my 7 out of 7 kaiju movie would be, and I'm drawing
Pacific Rim.
Yep.
That's the Cloverfield for me.
No, Pacific Rim still has Charlie Hunnam in it, and that's an automatic point off.
What's wrong with Charlie Hunnam?
He is the Sam Worthington of his day, and he exists in the same time that Sam Worthington does.
Yeah, but you also have Ron Perlman in there, and Idris Elba. You have a star-studded cast that kind of props him up.
That doesn't make up for a Charlie Hunnam.
This isn't Sons of Anarchy. A good role. Like,
it's like Ron Perlman's coming, yay! But Charlie Hunnam's too.
Imagine could we made Sons of Anarchy.
I don't know if I'll come now. Charlie Hunnam's gonna be there.
Or what's the other bad one? What's the new what's his face movie? That everyone's making fun of. That's on Netflix. A 2-parter on Netflix that he's in.
Dune? No. That's fucking Moon. Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon. Yeah, that's right.
Charlie Hunnam's in Rebel Moon.
I remember he's in the trailer. I haven't seen either movie. So it's like,
I think he dies in the first one. I think he is in there, but I think he dies in the first one. I think you're right. I just totally forgot.
Oh yeah, he is in that movie. That shows what star power you get with Charlie Hunnam. You just forget that he is even in it.
The Gentleman, he's awesome. He's awesome in The Gentleman. Granted, because he's playing next to Hugh Grant, who's the best part of that movie.
If you can't afford Norman Reedus, you get Charlie Hunnam. That's all there is to it.
Charlie Hunnam's better than Norman Reedus.
I'm going to out myself as an indie trash person, but Colossal might be my like 7 out of 7 kaiju movie.
Ooh,
I really like Colossal.
7 out of 7 though. That's another one that's similar to this one, where it's like, hey, the monster's a metaphor for the person. Yes, I get it. That's another 5. Colossal is another 5, and I saw that one in theaters. And I love all the stars. I love all the actors in that movie, and it's still a 5. It's very heavy-handed, very hackneyed.
But yeah, I'm giving this the highest score of all of us. Godzilla -1 is a -1 from 7. It's a 6. There are some things that I can't truly like put it over the brink, but it's certainly like up there with Shin Godzilla, which I also would give a 6. So that's where I am.
I have to see Shin Godzilla to really compare it. I do want to see it because Gross Godzilla looks cool.
Shin Godzilla has a lower budget than this, just so you're aware.
Shin Godzilla. The problem I have with Shin Godzilla, the story of political intrigue and political infighting, I actually like better, and the planning around it. So I might like Shin Godzilla better than this movie. But the problem that with Shin Godzilla is there's that in that opening 20 minutes when they basically show Godzilla in like the weird larva stage. And it was like, oh, and it just looks so dumb. It's hard to get past that one scene of that movie. If I can get it past that, I would probably call that movie a 7.
Oh, I find it harder to get past the like one lady going like, "Oh yes, if I'm able to beat Godzilla, I will be president of the United States."
Makes you want to watch it.
Hey.
How elections work? You can beat Godzilla.
If you come up A+ in a conflict. No, that's still not true.
Yeah, it's just that SNL sketch when Bill Pullman hosted, and it was after Independence Day, and he was making it like the president from Independence Day was running for re-election.
I didn't beat those aliens.
That was basically what the sketch was. It's like his opponent's like trying to talk about economic policy, and then he just comes back with, "Remember when the aliens attacked?"
That's great. Yes, he has my vote.
I know. You probably still have mine.
What if they attack again, right?
I mean, he was in the plane. It's not like he just led it from afar. Like,
Right.
He flew the plane and led the squadron.
Okay, so we have Chainsaw Man coming up next. So that would be probably the 25th, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So we have plenty of time. Plenty of time to watch that weird anime. And then I don't know what we'll do.
Cosplay.
Then probably Demon Slayer will honestly probably be done, and we'll be able to watch another season of Demon Slayer and just all be disappointed. And we shit talked this movie a bit. Imagine Demon Slayer, which we have shit talked before, and then we just shit talked it more.
I don't feel like we shit talk.
Yeah, we should talk it a little.
A little bit. It's an episode you set the bar so high, like, all right, cross it. Let's see what you got. And it didn't have much. Just my opinion.
Like I said, this is not. I like this better than Parasite. I'm trying to think of other.
I disagree hard there. I love Parasite.
I didn't like Parasite at all. But All Quiet on the Western Front was better. What other foreign language film?
See, The Host was better. That's another kaiju film, and that kaiju is significantly smaller. It's a Korean kaiju film.
We're talking monster movies.
I mean,
am I the only one excited about Alien Romulus?
No, I'm excited for Alien to be horror again, and I like that director. I saw the Evil Dead that he made, and it was very good.
Yeah, I trust that guy. That'd be amazing.
and we're going to get
Arguably, his evil
we're going
is
to
the
get
best
some
evil
goriness. We're going to be getting the aliens as penis monsters again. So it's just
Yeah. The one basically trying to mouth fuck that guy in the trailer.
I did see that. Like, it's like you have to show it going in. I'm like, you don't have to show. the
Yes, you do. We are desensitized.
You already got the X-ray through the chest. That was cool. Dang it.
Yeah, show it inserting in the mouth.
Show the actual mouth rape. Okay.
Somewhere in Germany. Yes, and now he
Like we
succumbs,
said.
you see. Make him submissive.
So that is Animesplaining. We'll be back in 3 weeks with Chainsaw Man, unless we're not back in 3 weeks, in which case we'll do our standard thing of just coming back on a Tuesday whenever we kind of feel like it.